Plato has a concept from Book 7 of the Republic, often referred to as the allegory of the cave. He talks about a group of people who live in a cave, and in that cave is a fire that casts a shadow of objects in the background against a wall. Now, technically it's Socrates' dialogue with his companions, but Plato writes about these group of people who are chained to a wall, and for some reason they're lethargic and indolent, and it strains their neck to look away, so all they do is look at the shadows on the cave wall. So Plato makes a fundamental conclusion. If all they know is the shadows on the wall, then they will mistake those shadows for real objects and reality. He says truth to them would be literally nothing more than the shadows of the images. And how crazy does that sound, mistaking shadows for real objects? Until we take a step back, we look at our own lives. How often do we sit in a chair and look at a computer screen all day, or lie on the couch watching TV? Sometimes we display a similar apathy, and it applies to our goals as well. Because the meaning of life is largely unknown, it's open to everyone's interpretation. So how many of us go for jobs that we think will make our parents happy, or do things because we think that's what society expects of us? How many people spend their weekends drinking on a patio, or going out to a fancy meal, or shopping at a mall, or buying a car or gadgets because they think that's what will bring satisfaction to their lives? Few people stop to think, are these the real objects in life, or are they staring at the shadows? This is a speech about light and life and shadows, and distinguishing between them. And it starts with the interesting realization. So when I was 25 years old, I went to a music festival called Bonnaroo. It's just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And I was standing at the main stage, and I was looking at the singers on stage, and they were way off in the distance. And I managed to look around, and there was thousands of people around me, all looking at the stage, at the shadows in the distance. And I couldn't help but notice the striking parallel, how we were all looking, we're in the dark, we're all looking at shadows far off in the distance, and we're swaying back and forth to a single throbbing beat. And it wasn't just that we're staring in the same direction, but it was also that I got a sense that there had to be more to life than standing in the dark in this semi-somnolent state, just aimlessly listening to music. So it's my 29th birthday tomorrow, and I've given a speech for the past 6 years on my birthday, and normally I reflect back on the year that's just happened, and I put some immature sort of anecdotes in it, but this year I decided I was going to say what my goals for this year are going to be, which I typically do for my New Year's speech. I know, how original, but I wanted to do it so I could start my 29th year knowing exactly what I was going to accomplish. So first you need to know what my goals have been for the last 3 years. So 3 years ago, I made my goal to master fitness, and I did an Ironman in Los Cabos, 13 hours through the Mexican desert. 2 years ago, I decided to focus on my career. I worked full-time for a startup, I had a website business, and I ran with groups downtown Toronto with Nike. And for my web business, I got up to around 20 clients, and I had my most profitable year by a long shot. But what I realized, and this is my past year, is that I was essentially exchanging my time for money, and that's not an arrangement that you want to get into. I felt like a slave to my work and to my clients. So what I did is I stopped doing that, and I decided to have a new focus. And I told it to you guys right in that room over there for my last New Year's speech, and it was I wanted to focus on being the best version of myself. which is a very open and ambiguous goal. And the funny thing is that it had amazing results, because a lot of the decisions I made this year, I would ask myself, is this what the best version of me would do? And so I found that often countless nights, I would go home early so that I could wake up early and work or work out or spend time with family or spend time with siblings or focus on myself and focus on self-development. And I had an amazing year because of it. So my goal this year, it's an evolution on my goals for the last 3 years, and it's to focus on self-identity. So my aim during my 29th year is to focus on self-identity and figure out understand better, who I am, what I want, and where I want to go. And it relates back to Plato's cave of mistaking the shadows for real objects, because self-identity will allow me to understand myself and give me a better idea of what the objects that I should aim for in my life and what they will be, as opposed to aiming for the shadows. So to be clear, the cave shadows in the context of my speech are really to be believing and valuing the wrong things in life, essentially having the wrong goals. And these beliefs leading me to act in ways that don't serve me and prevent me from reaching my true potential in life or finding deep fulfillment. In this way, shadows are hollow goals, and I'm in search of goals that matter. Vishen Lakhiani describes it in a way that I love. Means goals versus ends goals. Means goals are the things that society tells us we need to have to be happy. These things include a college degree, marriage, a big house, and they're narratives that we've been trained to accept. But I think what's underneath them and what's more important is what these things stand for. Not college, but opportunities to learn and grow. Not marriage, but a beautiful and loving relationship. Not a big house, but a comfortable environment where you feel safe. So end goals are what we really should be setting, which are the beautiful and exciting rewards of being human. And they often include feelings such as joy, love, excitement, and happiness. So I should not aim for a good job so I make a lot of money. I should aim for a calling where I'm able to impact and help millions of people, and I'm happy because of that. That would be an end goal. To properly assess shadows from objects, I need to have an understanding of who I am, what I want, and where I want to go. And from these answers, I will be able to live a life based on true end goals. You may know this one. When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and you just live a life is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world. Try not to bash into the walls too much. Try to have a nice family life, have fun, save money. That's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact. That is, everything around you that you call life was made up by people no smarter than you. And you can change it, you can influence it. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again. And that's obviously a Steve Jobs quote. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again. And that's a similar epiphany to the person in the cave who realizes the shadows are not the real objects. And Plato says to have that epiphany, the cave dweller must leave the cave and start an upward journey and experience the ascent of the soul to the world of the intellectual. So 29 for me is taking that climb, that journey upward, that journey of education and introspection to shed some light on who I want to be, on where I want to go, on who I am, what I want, and where I want to go. And I've already started that climb. I'll tell you about it in my next speech.